Hello there everyone, and welcome to my first game review. So since this is probably your first time here, allow me to explain how this will work. I'll simply tell you what the game is like in terms of gameplay, story, graphics, music, performance, and tell you what I liked, what I disliked, and then give the game a rating on a score of 1 to 7 stars. 1 star being, this game is terrible, do not play it. 2, it could have been good, but it falls flat. 3, not really my thing, but maybe other people will like it. 4, take it or leave it. 5, there's room for improvement, but it's still good. 6, a nice, solid game. I recommend it. And 7, oh my gosh, this game is fantastic. Buy it if you haven't already. Of course, I'll do my best to keep this as spoiler-free as possible. So what game am I reviewing today, you might ask? Well, it's Kirby Star Allies. Let's get this party started. First, I think I should start by saying that I am a Kirby fan. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan, but I have developed quite the love for the pink puffball after playing Planet Robobot and Triple Deluxe. So naturally, I was really excited for Kirby's grand debut on the Switch in Star Allies. And did it live up to its expectations? Well, not quite. Most other fans can probably agree that Star Allies is an okay game, but it was kind of a disappointment. The biggest factor to this is how short and easy the game is. You play through all the stages in Dreamland, you defeat Wispy Woods and King Dedede, and then the credits roll. The end! Psych, just kidding! But in all seriousness, Star Allies truly is super short and easy. I picked up the game the day it came out on Friday, and I finished it 2 days later the following Sunday. By the time the credits actually rolled, I had well over 100 one-ups to spare. And it doesn't help when the game's new main gimmick is what's holding back the challenge. Rather than destroying every enemy in your path, you can throw a heart at enemies to become friends to fight along your side, and you can do this with up to 3 enemies. Once you have 1 or more friends, you can have other players join you to play as those friends. This is not the first time a Kirby game has done something like this. There have been other games where Kirby can turn an enemy into a helper, or you play with other people. But Star Allies is different because making friends to help you is required. You combine your abilities together to progress through parts of the game that you otherwise couldn't do alone. On the surface, having other AI characters to help you sounds fine, but it creates all sorts of problems. Most of the time, it feels like the game is playing itself. Friends are always running ahead, killing other enemies and solving so-called puzzles for you, which are hardly puzzles at all. And boss fights become button-mashing sessions because there's so many characters on the screen at once that you can hardly keep track of where you are, much less keep track of the boss's attack patterns. I recommend doing multiplayer in this game for a more enjoyable experience. Besides challenge, the game also lacks creativity. Stages are pretty basic all throughout, compared to Planet Robobot, which had stages themed around things like casinos and Rainbow Soft Serve ice cream. The story is pretty weak. I don't want to go into full detail of what it's all about because spoilers, but characters hardly have any depth and it's not really clear as to what the villain's objectives are. But one of the biggest problems I have with this game is how you unlock extra stages. In most recent games prior, you would collect specific items throughout stages to unlock bosses, and once you have enough, extra stages. Playing casually will usually result in unlocking all the boss stages with no problem, but there's a good chance that you missed a few of the other ones needed to unlock extra stages, thus creating a reason and incentive to play through the levels again. Instead, Star Allies has you push buttons in hidden areas to unlock extra stages. Finding these buttons was not hard at all. Like, I didn't even have to try. I found all of them without having to replay a single stage. So instead of collecting items to unlock extra stages, Star Allies has you collect puzzle pieces, and once you collect enough, they put together pictures, which you can look at. And that's about it. Also, each stage has at least one special puzzle piece that I like to call a rainbow puzzle piece because it glows with a rainbow aura. And other than that, they're not much different from normal puzzle pieces. Some people say that collecting these puzzle pieces creates replay value. I 100% disagree. The pictures don't do anything, there's no reward for completing all of them, so what's even the point of these things? This is slightly off topic, but another thing that bothers me is the loading screen tips. Even when you're almost done with the game, there will be tips given to you during loading screens on the most basic things. At one point I thought you could turn these off, but it turns out that that's just for the signs with tips when you're in the middle of playing. Ironically, there's a loading screen tip that says you can turn off the mid-game tips. Alright, as negative as this review is turning out to be, I do have some good things to say about Kirby Star Allies. It has some pretty nice graphics. The art style may not quite be up to par with that of the 3DS games, which I adore, but this is the first time we ever get to truly see a main series Kirby platformer in high definition. Also, halftone gradients galore. There are halftone gradients everywhere in this game. I was a bit worried at first that I would get tired of seeing them all the time, but fortunately I didn't. And I was really delighted that on the world maps you aren't restricted to a single line connecting each stage. You're allowed to walk around freely and explore the map and maybe pick up some extra stars. While I do love this very much, I'm kind of sad that this wasn't better utilized in the game. Like, why isn't the entire game like this? I think it would have been great to instead unlock extra stages by stumbling upon them in hidden areas of the world maps. It just feels like they missed out on a lot of great opportunities with this. I think the music is okay, nothing really special to be honest. I'm not the type of person who notices remixes of tracks from previous games, aside from the main theme, though I did recognize a tune from Superstar Ultra, so that was nice. As far as performance goes, I think Star Allies runs pretty good both in TV and handheld mode. Lots of people were upset that it only plays at 30 frames per second, especially considering the fact that the 3DS games were somewhat close to 60 FPS, but it's not so bad if you consider it as a cinematic approach. Speaking of cinematic, the final boss is truly engaging and fun. No spoilers, of course. I wish it was just a tad bit more challenging, but it was still quite a thrill. And there are other game modes aside from the story. Sadly, they don't offer much. There's Chop Champs, where you chop down trees to see who can chop down the most wood in the given amount of time, and then there's Star Slam, where you try to hit an oncoming meteor with a baseball bat at the right moment. These are simple party games that are only enjoyable if you play with other people. Like other Kirby games, a couple of new modes are unlocked once you clear the story mode, Star Allies Go and the Ultimate Choice. Star Allies Go is simply playing through the stages of the story mode, but not as Kirby, rather as any Star Ally you wish, with an emphasis on trying to beat the stages as fast as possible. The Ultimate Choice is the Boss Rush mode, which in previous games was called the Arena. But unlike the Arena, you can choose the difficulty of it, probably why they named it the Ultimate Choice, which also determines the number of bosses you'll fight. And it's got this hot sauce theme, which I think has its own unique charm. Star Allies Go is something I would probably do occasionally, but I'm not into boss rushes. Like I said, all of these other modes don't offer much, at least for me. With all that said, Kirby Star Allies is essentially a party game, and with that said, this game is $60, so unless you're a really big Kirby fan or have a lot of friends to do multiplayer with, this game may not be worth picking up for most people. I wanted to give it a slightly higher rating, but I'm not a big enough Kirby fan to want to own and play every single Kirby game in existence, so if I had a better idea of what it was going to be like, I probably would have passed on it, unless maybe it was half the price. While it is a good game, it's quite a letdown for the first Kirby game on the Nintendo Switch. I give Kirby Star Allies 4 stars out of 7. Phew! I did it! My first game review, and you made it to the end of it, hopefully. Now I would really appreciate some feedback. Tell me down in the comments what you thought about this review, and or what you think about Kirby Star Allies. So, thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go play Kirby's Return to Dreamland, which I also got the day Star Allies came out because it was buy 2, get 1 free on used Wii games at GameStop. Whoa, and I just found a mid-condition copy of Kirby 64!